Welcome to another episode of Digital Marketing 101. I'm Solomon Timothy. I'm super excited for this question. Why do I need a content strategy? This is a great question. I see so many companies creating content for the sake of creating content because they watched the webinar, they maybe have attended a conference, somebody spoke and said, hey, you should create more content, or maybe they read a blog that says you need to blog more. And so eventually what happens is companies or marketing departments are creating content for the sake of creating content. And unfortunately, creating more content doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get more results. I've seen a lot of marketing folks, I've talked to companies, and I do it every day. I ask them what their content strategy is, and they'll be like, why do I need one? Or I have a content calendar. Every Tuesday, we write a blog post. Every Friday, we write something like this. Every Thursday, we write something fun. It's almost like social media posts. They sort of take their content, their marketing content, their blog content, and sort of create a 300-word post, a 500-word post, and they just continually post more and more content. And then they wonder, why don't they get more organic search traffic? Why don't they get more results? Why don't they get more leads, perhaps? That'd be a good question. And all of a sudden, they think about their content strategy and then think about a question like this. Maybe I need a better strategy, right? Or why do I need one in the first place if I'm already creating a lot of content? Well, I got good news for you, because just creating more content for the sake of creating content is not going to help you. Creating more content for the sake of content will not get you the same results or better results than you're getting. You're trying to do more. Think about a lot of companies that do a lot of the same thing, expecting different results. What do you call those people? I'll let you figure that out. But long story short, what I'd like you to think about is a solid strategy that is going to get you results. Let's talk a little bit about content strategy. First of all, before you create any content, I want you to ask yourself, why are we creating this content? What is the purpose? What is the KPI in which we are going to measure success of this content? Why are we creating this blog post? Who is the persona? What is the problem we're trying to solve? How long should this content be? What do we do to promote this content? A lot of companies create a lot of content and they spend 100% of their budget on creation and 0% of their budget on promotion. I'm not sure if you've ever heard or seen any people like that. They exist all the time. They're creating a lot of content. It's massive amounts of words on a page, but they don't do anything to promote it. I'm not talking about just promoting it organically on your Twitter or your Facebook. I'm talking about spending money to drive traffic to get people to see that content. Because if you don't do that, no one's ever going to see that content. So first of all, ask yourself, why are we creating this content and what do we hope to get out of it? Are we trying to get more awareness? Are we trying to get more people to view this video and like it and share it? Is that the strategy? Are we trying to get leads out of the content, right? Whatever that is, you got to define that before you do it. And then don't create content just because every Tuesday you're trying to create a content, or your content calendar dictates that 5 times a week I got to do something. It has nothing to do with that, because instead I want you to think about creating quality content. And quality content does not mean that it's just invested a little bit more time or energy, or you spent 14 hours researching it. What I mean is you've invested enough time doing your research to make sure that this is what the content is going to help you do, and you've invested time in figuring out what the persona is. You wrote yourself an outline, you thought about this content, you have a lot of additional resources to put into it to make sure you've answered all the different questions that come up around this topic. This is the topic of my long form content, and I am going to speak about these 15 different sub items in it, and I'm going to link them to additional pages of my site, right? We're going to interlink them back and forth. And so this way, when my topic gets traffic, my long form content gets traffic, it is going to give a boost to every one of them, or vice versa. Those guys get traffic and I'm going to interlink this back and forth, and I will not repeat this same content in any of those other posts. This prevents you from creating a bunch of duplicated content, right? This is a really big challenge in the marketing space. When you look at a site or you take over somebody else's marketing, maybe they've done it in-house or they worked with another agency, you see a lot of duplicate keywords across all of this. And this is a real challenge. We call this content cannibalization. What happens is, or keyword cannibalization, is that all of these keywords, this is sometimes ends up becoming the same keyword over and over. So you end up with duplicate content, sadly. Instead, we should be focusing on 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and so on. This is really, really key when it comes to having a solid content strategy. So I'm hoping that you're following me here, that quality doesn't just necessarily mean that you spend a little bit more time. It means that you've invested a lot of time figuring out what those topics are, and you connected this to this one format, right? Like a topic-based content. Different people call this different things, don't get me wrong. You can Google the word skyscraper, or you can Google pillar content. These are all different names for the same kind of idea. But I just want you to know that you couldn't create an extremely well thought out content around a particular topic every Tuesday. It just doesn't work. Creating more 300 word or 500 word blog posts with no strategy in mind is actually what you're doing is you're creating what we call thin content in the industry. Thin content is essentially very short post that actually doesn't do anything. It doesn't solve a problem. Google isn't going to reward that content just because you wrote it and you published it and you tweeted it. It does not mean you're going to rank on the first page of Google for that topic. If you're not going to rank, if you're not going to do anything with that content, if you're not going to get any ROI from that content, why create it in the first place? Why? Just like I've said here, why are we creating this content and what do we hope to get out of it? Putting a little bit more strategy into it. I would rather you do this once or twice a month. If you could do it twice, that's fantastic. I'm not expecting companies to create 3 or 4 topics in a month because these are going to take you enormous amount of time. It's going to take you a lot of energy to keep it updated, but eventually when they start ranking it, you're going to benefit from it, right? And I would rather you create less content and promote it. Let me explain what you should do. You should spend 20% of the money in creating it and 80% of the money in promoting it. Facebook click ads, right? Just so that link clicks, people click on it and go to your page. You can create all kinds of strategies to drive more visits to that particular piece of content so that people can actually know about the product, they can know about your brand, they can know about the solution. It's interesting to them. You can run even search campaigns to drive traffic to that. Content discovery sites that allows you to drive traffic to your content. People do not spend 80% on promoting the content, so it gets buried in their site. It doesn't get seen. If you have a content that is well thought out, I want to put hundreds and hundreds of people to see that content. Throughout the content, I have call to actions for them to download my ebook, move them through the funnel to the next step so that they can actually become a customer, right? Let's think about the funnel for a second. Solomon creating a video without funnel, it's unheard of. So again, you have to create content at every stage of that buyer's journey. If this is the content that we just talked about, which is the topic number 1, you're essentially giving them enough resources to move that person down the funnel, to download an ebook, to compare your company versus somebody else's company, and then eventually, because of the download of the ebook, perhaps they're being nurtured through all the other content that you're creating to eventually, when it comes to buying your product versus somebody else's, they know exactly you are the choice, they make the right choice and become a customer. All of this can be done if you think about a better content strategy that is not based on the quantity of it, but rather the quality of it. Creating more 300 words, more 250 words, or just 2-liner thinking that you're Seth Godin, it's got to stop. Essentially, what you need to create is awareness of your company, awareness of your product, awareness of your solution, and let people decide that, hey, whether you're having this challenge or that challenge, thinking about this solution or that solution, we have it for you. Interlink them to a bigger content. Now, this main page might be 2,000 to 5,000 words. It could be 10,000 words. It doesn't really matter. You're not thinking about it because it's not like your job is to create 2,000 words. You're going to cover as much content as you need to create to be better than the best alternative on that topic. Your job is to create better content than what's available for that exact same topic on the first page of Google. If the first page of Google has 10,000 words, you're gonna have to create more. Unfortunately, this is why I said it's a quality game and not a quantity game. This way, you're not trying to do 50,000 topics in 1 week. You couldn't do it. I'll be happy, as I said, if you do one and repeat it for next month and work on keeping these up to date so that when people land here, this is not outdated information. So having a content strategy is so critical, more than ever today. No one's ever going to come to your website if you don't have content, and no one's ever going to discover your content if you don't promote the content, and Google isn't going to reward you if it's not well thought out, better than anybody else, and it's continually being promoted, and you're actually working on it, and eventually it'll start paying off dividends like crazy. No more thin content, no more 300 words for the sake of it. Throw away your content calendar just because somebody invented that idea of you creating all this content on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays and Wednesdays. It doesn't really do anything, because over here at 1IMS, what we do is throw away that idea, get rid of the thin content, consolidate the website, remove all the keywords that are cannibalizing your website so that you can't rank for anything. Your 5 pages are competing for the same keyword. Horrible, right? These are the kind of things that you run into because you have different ideas or strategy about content creation, or ideas about how to generate traffic, or ideas about what you think you need to do. Eventually, it hurts you by having hundreds and hundreds of almost identical keywords in the title of a blog post. Hundreds. And we say that all the time. So we have to decide what to keep, what to throw away, what do we prune, and then pick a few and then work on improving that. And all of a sudden, traffic starts to go up, right? When we get rid of stuff, traffic starts to go up. Why? Because it's finally getting discovered. Before, you were choking your traffic. Now you're finally telling Google, when it's about this topic, I want you to send it to this page. When it's about that topic, I want you to send it to that page. And then repeating that content process over and over for every area of your business. This is very simple, but complex when it comes to executing. So hopefully you got some value out of, hey, why do I need a content strategy? Why my content strategy is not working right now? Why don't I get any organic traffic? It has a lot to do with how you're executing it and how you're thinking about strategy, how you're thinking about creating content, and also quality over quantity. All right, I believe in quality over quantity in every area of my life. And when it comes to content, it's no different. I would rather create less pieces of content to deliver more value than 1,000 little videos that is not going to do anything for me. So hopefully you got some value out of this. Hey, if you have more questions, reach out to one of our consultants. We are here for you to help you answer any questions you might have about content strategy. And if you enjoyed this video, click that like button, consider subscribing, leave me a comment, turn on the notification. We want to make sure you're notified every time we produce another video. Tell me exactly what you're going to do after watching this video, right? Anything, if it's helped you, let me know and I will follow up with you, and I will see you next time.